Good evening, Martha. I'm Ashley Schmidt, and I would personally like to thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. Can you tell me a little bit about why you're here?
Yeah, so, I don't really know why I'm here. I was pressured into coming in today by my parents.
Okay, I see. And what did they say to make you come here today and meet with me?
They said I have a drinking problem and that if I don't get help, they were going to cut off all communication with me, which is kind of problematic.
Okay, just to summarize a little bit about why you're here. From what I'm hearing, you are meeting with me today because your parents threatened to cut off all communication with you if you did not take the steps to receive help. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
And what would you like to add anything to that story?
No, mostly just because they wanted me to come in.
Okay. And how long have you been drinking for?
Let's see. It's been about 10 years now.
Okay. And at what age did you start drinking?
Well, I'm 27 now, and I started drinking in high school, so probably around like 17 years old, so yeah, about 10 years ago.
Alright, and when you started drinking in high school, what was the setting like and why did you start drinking?
So, I started drinking at high school parties. You know, in high school with your friends, you kind of get pressured into drinking, and that's kind of the whole scene in high school, parties and drinking. So, I only used to drink at parties.
Okay. And anything else?
Yeah, I kind of felt pressured into doing it at these parties because everyone else was doing it. So at the time I thought, well, why wouldn't I? I could be cool like the rest of my friends.
Alright, and have those drinking habits changed since you got older and out of high school? What did those habits look like?
So I definitely have continued to drink throughout my adult life, and I think I know I started to drink more. I just am not really open to admitting it.
Alright, and what did the setting look like when you drank after high school?
Sometimes I would drink at parties, and sometimes I would just drink at my apartment with my roommates. Just having alcohol in the setting kind of always triggered it for me.
Alright, and after high school, did you ever drink by yourself?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I see. And when you did drink with your roommates or by yourself, what emotions were you feeling?
Most of the time, I drank because I was just stressed from life. Life is really stressful.
Okay, and at what point, or at that point of drinking, what was that for? Or why did you drink?
Mostly to get my mind to stop thinking about getting a job and providing for myself. After high school, everyone definitely pushes for that, and it's very stressful as being only an 18-year-old.
So those were the stressors in your life?
Yes.
Okay. And have those habits continued to this day?
Yes, they continued, and I still drink for the same reasons, basically.
Okay, and what stress in your life currently is making you drink alcohol?
Well, you see, I'm an EMT, so I see a lot of things on the clock, and it's constantly on edge for me.
Okay, and in the 10 years that you have been drinking, have you ever tried to quit?
Yeah, I quit when I was in EMT training. EMT training was a lot, so I just had to cut out on the drinking.
Okay, and why did you feel the need to quit for EMT training?
Because I didn't want them to catch me under the influence of alcohol. It wouldn't look good for my reputation, nor would I probably get my license.
Okay, and how long did you quit for?
Let's see. I started when I was 19, the EMT training, and it took about a year for me to finish the training.
Okay, wow, a whole year is definitely something to be proud of. Cutting out something that you relied on for a whole year is definitely a mental battle, and I can applaud you for doing that. I especially applaud you for doing that in arguably one of the most stressful times in your life. Was EMT training stressful?
Yeah, it was very stressful for me during this time, and all I wanted to do was drink alcohol. Academics was hard, so the EMT program, the academic side of it was pretty challenging for me.
And in that year, did you ever even have one sip of alcohol?
Nope. not one sip. I was pretty proud of myself for that year.
That's definitely something to be proud of. And if I'm understanding correctly from what I've heard, is that you've been drinking since you were 17 years old, and it started as drinking at parties and continued to other settings besides just parties. You notice that drinking helps you relieve stress, so you continue to do it. You are currently an EMT and you find your career to be very stressful, and you find that the only way to cope with the stress you're experiencing is to drink. And you also quit for about a year because of EMT training, but ultimately have gone back to drinking.
Yeah, that seems about right for me. Sums it up so far.
Okay, and after the year you stopped drinking, what made you go back to drinking?
Well, I needed to take a I needed to take a break from drinking because of training. But after training, I went into being an EMT, and like I have said, my stress is just above average, and once I started actually getting into the job, it became very challenging.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I also feel like people weren't watching me every day, my everyday moves, so I felt more comfortable sneaking in a drink here and there.
Okay, other than quitting for EMT training, were there any other reasons why you decided to quit for that year?
Yeah, I guess I didn't want to disappoint my family, even though I do drink and it does get in the way of my relationships. I still want to have communication with my family.
And that's why you're here today?
Yes, that is why I'm here today.
Okay, and have you and your parents ever discussed how to fix the problem?
No, not really. It's hard because I feel that I don't need to fix my problem because I drink to calm my nerves, and they feel that I'm an alcoholic, but I don't feel this way.
Okay, and what makes you feel different from an alcoholic?
Well, I do it to calm my nerves and get me through the day. I mean, other people cope in different ways. Some people watch TV or shop, and well, I drink alcohol. So it's not a problem if I spend all my money on clothes, but it's a problem if I drink. That makes really no sense to me.
And have you ever done anything under the influence that sparks the question that you can potentially be an addict?
Well, there is one thing.
And what is that?
I had trouble falling asleep one night, so I went to the fridge and drank a 6-pack of beers. Usually, if I sit there long enough, I'll fall asleep by then. And then the next day, I woke up and felt on edge, so I drank the rest of my beer and I went for a walk and went to work. In my head, it helped. I wasn't stressed or on edge anymore. Well, when I was on the clock, we got a call. I'd fallen asleep from the beers, and it was hard for my coworkers to wake me. Even at the scene, I was out of it.
And why did the situation stick with you? What made you see the red flag?
I do care about this job. I mean, it's my passion, and I love helping people. The only thing is, it's just such a stressful job. I don't want to lose this job because of my drinking habits, and I'm scared that one day they'll find out and I will get fired because of it.
I mean, yeah, it seems like you have good intentions about this job, and I see that you really care about others' well-being. Does this translate to yourself? Do you take care of yourself?
Yeah, so, I like to play sports with my friends outside of work, but my job is so physically demanding that I find it hard to do these things, and most of the time I'm really tired when I get home, and it's usually dark because of the 12 to 12 shifts.
Right, I can imagine that. Anything else you'd like to add?
I like spending time with my family, but it's been hard because, you know, they're mad at me for this drinking habit and are thinking about cutting communication.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a problem do you think you have with drinking? 1 being that you don't have a problem at all, and 10 being the utmost problem.
Let's see, maybe like a 5?
A 5? Okay, and why a 5 and not an 8?
Like I said before, I don't physically hurt anyone else when drinking, and I only do it to get me through the day and to calm my nerves.
Okay, and why a 5 and not a 2?
Because my relationships are affected, especially with my family, and I do fear that others view me like my family as well. For this reason, I could lose my job, which I think would make me spiral even more. I'm not sure what to do in this situation.
What situation specifically? Can you elaborate more on that, please?
Well, if I lost my job, which is my passion, my family would be even more disappointed, especially if I got fired for drinking. I would lose everything.
And how would that make you feel?
Like nothing in the world matters.
And what would you do in a situation like this?
Probably drink my sorrows away.
Okay. And if you were to quit right now, what would be the worst thing that you could imagine happening to you?
The worst thing? Probably that I'd feel stress.
Okay, and is it possible to find other ways to cope with stress other than drinking?
I mean, of course, like, I dealt with stress before I was 17. I was a regular high schooler.
Right, and what are the best things that could happen if you were to quit right now?
I wouldn't be stressed that I was losing my job or communication with my family. I guess I do see this constant loop of thinking.
What do you mean by that?
Drinking helps my stress, but by drinking, I stress more about getting fired and losing my family.
That is a great observation.
I guess I just don't know what to do.
Well, let's think for a minute. What are some things that you are good at that you can translate into helping you quit drinking if you possibly decide to do that?
I do think that I'm good at helping people, and you make a good point that maybe I should start finding ways to take care of myself like I do with other people when I'm on the clock.
Okay, that's an amazing start. Helping yourself is definitely going to get you far in the process of drinking if that's something you do decide to do. It would be very beneficial to find new ways to help cope with your stress in a healthier way besides drinking alcohol.
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay, I think we made some great progress today regarding your drinking habits. Thank you again for coming in today. I know this isn't an easy thing for you to do. Once again, I applaud you for taking the steps in the right direction. If it's okay with you, I would love to schedule a second appointment if that's something that you would like to do.
Yeah, sure. Why not? What would we talk about?
Well, in the second appointment, we can go into depth about how to take next steps, and I would also like to share some health problems if you do decide to continue drinking, and some health benefits if you decide to quit drinking. Are you available to set up an appointment sometime next week?
Yeah. Let's see. I think I'm off Tuesday next week, so I'm available next week at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. Does that work?
Yes. I will put you in for Tuesday at 3. Again, thank you for coming in. It was nice meeting you, and I will see you again soon.
I'll see you next week on Tuesday.